Let's just. This my laptop camera is crazy. Anyways, I am in the District of the World, District of Columbia, District of the World. I'm here. I hope this lighting figures itself out because I don't want it to be that good. I'm here. My internship building is like right there, but I wanted to work outside today, for a few hours before I leave. And I just want to get on here and record before I hop on the metro. Primarily because I look cute. Like I really like my outfit today. Um, and I like the vibe of recording outside. Most of the time when I'm record, I'm in my room at home. I'm trying to use my headphones as like a quasi mic because it like figure itself out. Because there's a lot of I'm outside, so there's a lot of noise. But hopefully this works as a mic and you guys can hear me. Hello, my name is Chimso. This is Chimsology, and today's lesson is that everything is propaganda. So I have this note on my phone called Random Beautiful Thoughts, and it's literally like the title is thoughts that are completely random that come to my mind or that I think are beautiful and need to be written down. Um, but typically there are things that I have experienced in my life like repeatedly, and that I've kind of synthesized into very short phrases or like proverbs, kind of. Everything is propaganda is probably one of the first ones that I had back in. I didn't start making this note until 2 years ago. But this was one of the ones that I thought about when I was in undergrad. I think like my freshman or sophomore year of undergrad. So what prompted it was 2020 when the world was going to shit. So everybody thought, as if chaos is not just a normal part of human society and human existence. We've just fooled ourselves into believing in the society that that is not the case. But I need this light to figure itself out. Maybe I shouldn't have like I moved here. I moved here because the light was more directly on me. But I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have moved like so directly into the light because now it's messing with the lighting on. You see that guy behind me? I was trying to not have him in the shot, but it's just gonna have to be. It's gonna have to be okay. Okay. Hopefully this is better. It's not acting up. What was I saying? 2020 when everything was going really bad, and I was 18 in 2020, and I'm not really like a politically inclined person. It's just a lot of BS to me that doesn't actually seem like very. Let me say political news. I don't care with political news. I think politics is extremely important because politics is life, politics is people. But the primary way most people keep up with politics is through news, and I think political news is complete BS and a waste of time. And it's just there to co-opt your emotions. My emotions are better used for other things. Um, but it was my first time being like politically like aware and kind of invested. Like I was so Trump's first term was my freshman year of high school. And that was like we're teenagers, people are starting to care about politics and all that stuff, but we're young, we don't really know like much of what's going on. So we're just going with like the vibe of where we live. And I live in a predominantly black county. Everybody was Democrat against Trump, and also predominantly black, large Hispanic population. So that was my first introduction into like politics and things like that. And then came around again in 2020 with the 2020 elections, everything that was happening with COVID and Black Lives Matter and just all the different stuff that was happening around the world. People started being aware of like world like crises that were happening in other countries. Like everybody just like woke up. It felt like everybody just woke up, or maybe I was just a teenager realizing that like people really be involved in politics. But I do think there was a shift in that time when it came to people talking about like global political issues, especially Americans, because Americans are concerned about themselves. Like they don't know what's going on in the rest of the world. Um, so I definitely think it was a shift here, just generally. But I experienced it as someone who was Gen Z and who was like coming of age during that time, and it was really overwhelming. Like there were so many, there were just so many like things to care about. Like there was COVID to care about, obviously. Then there was Black Lives Matter, growing up in a black county in the United States. Then I think something happened with, it was either Sudan or Somalia, I don't remember. then there was things like that. Like, and since then, it has not stopped. It has not stopped since then. And stuff happened with Ukraine, then stuff happened with Israel, Palestine. Then I mean, there's like a humanitarian crisis. Like, I mean, there's always a humanitarian crisis, but it's just like that stuff like never stopped. And as someone who was like 18, my life as a teenage American revolved around a teenage American growing up in the 2010s revolved around like social media and social media engagement. Um, and everybody constantly talking about these things. And I think as everyone did, I felt the pressure to have a stance, choose a side, know what politics you want to engage with. And like I said, because I'm not necessarily like a political news inclined person, I actually ended up going in a completely different route, which was business, business and financial empowerment. Because I'm like, everybody's here talking about what's going on in the news, go protest, sign this petition, be aware and know what's going on, have the conversations. But I'm like, I don't know what this is going to do for the actual plight of Black people in America. Or even people that are across the world like going through these issues. I genuinely don't, and I still don't know to this day. But I don't know what me like reposting something on Instagram or constantly being aware of the distress that's happening across the world is going to actually do for the people that are living like this is their everyday life if I'm not actually going to get up and do something about it, which is kind of how I ended up in the field that I'm in right now, both in financial empowerment, but also economic empowerment. Um, we can talk about that in a different video. Anyways, so I ended up going around along the route of like, okay, so what are practical things that can be done? And I started a business that's about financially empowering people, teaching people how to take control of their money. Ended up going into a PhD economics program to study economic development, economic empowerment, specifically for the African continent. But it was so that was my freshman year, 2020, when all of this freshman year of college when all of this stuff was like happening, and when I first started experiencing propaganda, like for myself. But I eventually realized that like, bro, everything is propaganda. And propaganda in the sense that like everything that someone says, everything that an organization puts out, everything that you see is trying to get you to think a certain way about life and how life should be. And not even just get you to think a certain way, it's actually forcing you to experience life based on what somebody else thinks like an experience of life should be. So kind of using like political news as an example. These people know how to just take people's emotions and direct them any which way that they want. And they're very good at it. Um, the ability to just like say one thing on like any topic that we know is very triggering for people within the country, and then stoke outrage, literally, whether or not it is actually warranted. Because there are times where it's warranted, and there are times where they're literally playing with your emotions. I think that's literally like everything. When you're having a conversation with a friend and they're trying to get you to see their perspective, that's propaganda. That's propaganda. Every advertisement that is put out by a company, propaganda. The way our city, I'm like in the city, so I'm looking at buildings. The way cities are designed, the way neighborhoods are designed, the way school systems and different institutions are designed and built, and the experience that we have of it, propaganda. Everything is trying to get you to have a certain perspective of what the world is and what it should be and how you should be experiencing it. And I think so the second part of this proverb or random thought that I have is, so the first part is everything is propaganda. The second part is you just get to choose the one that you adhere to. And I don't know if most people actually realize that, because I think calling something like propaganda is trying to say that like, oh, this thing is trying to get you to think in a certain way and you shouldn't fall for it. Like I said, everything is trying to get you to think in a certain way. And you have to think about the world in a certain way. There are things that at some point you're going to have to stand on if that's the type of world that you want to live in, that's the type of perspective that you want to have. But I think people don't realize how much agency they actually have when it comes to determining what propaganda or what messages, what worldviews you're actually going to build your life on. And the reason why I said that is because when that second part came into my mind, I was a sophomore and I was like getting involved in the campus ministry. And I was like, everything that I'm involved in this campus ministry is Christian propaganda. everything is Christian propaganda. Everything that they say is trying to get me to think more about life from this specific worldview, to think that life is this way, to think that life should be this way, to affect my experience of life from this specific worldview. The difference here, and probably why we don't call it propaganda, is because I'm actually choosing. I'm choosing to be brainwashed. I'm choosing for my emotions and my thoughts to be guided in this direction. So it doesn't feel like propaganda because I'm making a choice about it. And I think that's the core message that I want people to be aware of. It's like you have more of a choice in the things that affect your life and the way that you see the world and that you more than you probably realize that you do. And the first step is realizing what is actually influencing you and what are the things that are causing you to see life the way that it is. Because another important thing, now this isn't part of the original thought that I had. This came around like I think the past 2 years of my life since graduation. But there are literally like a million perspectives to be had on a single issue, a single event that happened. You can have so many different perspectives on it. So then you have to start asking yourself, why is it that I have this perspective and not another one? And I think that just comes with interacting with more people and seeing all the different ways that all the different ways that people can view one single situation and realizing there are different things that are influencing us to see things in a different way, whether that's our experiences, the people we've been exposed to, the media that we have consumed, um, the places that we've been, the conversations that we've had, relationships that we've been in, media that like just there are so many things that influence us that really show up in how different people react to different situations, and all of that is propaganda. But you first got to be aware of what is actually influencing you so that you can actually have a bit more agency in your life to decide what it is you're going to like adhere to, and also why. I think the why is probably a different discussion, but understanding why you would want to like follow certain propaganda and not others. Like, why do I choose to follow Christian propaganda instead of like non-Christian propaganda? Why do I choose to follow like entrepreneurship or innovation or empowerment propaganda versus other propaganda? Because and again, this is gonna go into a change, so I'm not gonna go too much into it. Maybe in a different video I can do it, but like, what was I gonna say? The experience, your experience of the world is subjective. Like your experience of the world is based on what's going on in your head and how you decide to interpret the material reality that you find yourself within. Obviously, there are some things that like can't be changed in the current moment, but I also do believe heavily that things can change, and the first step towards actually things actually changing is your mind changing about the situation that you're in and the pathways you have in and out of different situations. So, all that to say, let's take control of our minds. Stop letting other people dictate how you experience your life and the narratives that you have about what's going on in your life and in the world, and using your emotions for their own desires. Businesses using your emotions so that they can get your money and your attention for the next 10 years. Politicians using your emotions so that they can get their vote so that they can have power for the next 20 years. Like friends and family using your emotions so that they can have a place to just like go to. Like, not all this is bad. There are some businesses that deserve your money because they're actually adding to your life. But let's be guided, let's be wise, and let's be intentional about who we're actually giving like our emotions and attentions to and why, and things we actually care about, and intentionally directing our attention and emotions towards things that align with the type of world we actually want to see, live, and participate in. Okay, that's all I want to say. I'm gonna go to the metro now before my car gets towed because I'm parked at my friend's apartment. But anyways, thanks for stopping by.